him or the buff guy on the paper towel rolls.
I can do that with one bare hand. Hello.
Hi.
You are Clark Kent, right? Can I help you?
Welcome back, everyone. It's Charlie. This is going to be my Crisis on Infinite Earths Episode 2 video. Obviously, a whole bunch of Batman, Superman stuff going on. Ton of Easter eggs. We'll break it all down. If you're new to the channel, I'm doing Easter egg videos for all the crossover episodes. Be sure to subscribe to get everything. There's a new round of that Flash Ring giveaway, too. All you have to do to enter is be a subscriber and let me know how you think Crisis is going to end. Careful for spoilers from the episode. If you haven't seen it yet, obviously, we'll do top 10 WTF and Easter eggs as we go along. Starting with number 10, the alternate Wave Rider in Legends of Tomorrow from 1974. The only reference I could think is that Earth 74 would be a reference from the Legends of Tomorrow episode where they went back to 1974 to keep Richard Nixon from resigning his presidency. There was a joke that Sarah had about the main version of the Legends, saying that she told them that they wouldn't have to do crossovers anymore, a joke about the Legends not being in last year's crossover. Mostly because the show didn't want to deal with the crossover, but also they start to get too many characters and it's hard to service them all, so it's actually better that you not include all the shows sometimes. We find that the AI of this ship, though, instead of being a version of Gideon, is actually a version of Leonard, the Lenny version of Captain Cold. So even though Captain Cold isn't on screen, they were able to bring back the actor to record new dialogue for the crossover. Heatwave still has the romance novel that he tried to write in a previous season. He winds up reading it to Superboy Baby John Kent later, says it's totally kid-friendly, kids love it, kids love my romance novels. He says all of their legends retired on that Earth, but one of them died. I think he's probably referencing Captain Cold, who died during Legends of Tomorrow Season 1. But then number 9, the story of the 7 Paragons. They have this funny moment with the monitor getting interrupted by the crying of Superboy Baby John Kent, so they just keep passing him down the line until he gets to Heatwave, and Heatwave is the only one who can quiet him down. He spends the entire episode being babysitter, which seems appropriate for the Heatwave character. If you haven't seen him the last couple of years, they've been using him mostly for comedy on Legends of Tomorrow. He'll be doing more traditional Flash Rogues stuff during Crisis Episode 3 tomorrow night. But we find out who most of the Paragons are during this episode. Remember the 7 symbols that were on the chamber that Nash Wells accidentally opened, freeing the Anti-Monitor? That'll probably have something to do with locking him back up again. But Supergirl is the Paragon of Hope, Sarah is the Paragon of Destiny, Batwoman winds up being the Paragon of Courage. I wasn't really happy with the way they handled that storyline, but I'll talk about that in a second. And then Kingdom Come Superman is the Paragon of Truth. That means there are 3 other Paragons that we need to find. I believe Black Lightning is supposed to be one of the Paragons, so I don't know if they intend to reveal all of the Paragons before the big mid-season break. Lex Luthor also makes his appearance in this episode because there's so much Superman stuff happening in the episode. It makes sense that you would bring back Lex Luthor for some of that. Also important to note that Lila starts hearing voices. I'll explain what that twist is because it's actually right out of the comic book Crisis on Infinite Earths, but the TV show is changing how it goes down a little bit. Number 8, we meet Kevin Conroy's Batman of the Future on Earth 99 Gotham. It's a Batman Beyond Easter egg because that TV show started in 1999, but this is them referencing the continuity of those TV shows. Obviously, they throw in a whole bunch of other stuff too, like Kingdom Come Batman, Batman The Dark Knight Returns, a bunch of Frank Miller, a bunch of really post-apocalyptic, darkest versions of Batman. Almost the darkest timeline Batman if you don't consider Flashpoint Batman, the darkest timeline Batman. He's wearing the exoskeleton from the Kingdom Come comics to support his broken body. You could also take this as sort of an Injustice Easter egg too, with the way he has kryptonite built into his armor. When he's trying to figure out whether or not Kate Kane is real and who she says she is because his version died 5 years ago, he says Clayface is a puddle of mud right now, meaning that he's dead and he can mimic other people, and Jane Doe is locked up in Arkham. Jane Doe is a character from the Batman comics that can mimic other people too, mimic their voices. But as you saw during the episode, he's meant to be the Batman who has lost all hope. There are a whole bunch of other Easter eggs when they're in those Batman scenes though that I'll talk about in a second. Number 7, Superman the Musical, R.I.P. Superman. So they go to Earth 75 Metropolis and everybody was wondering who this version of Superman was because he didn't look exactly like Tyler Hoechlin, but he's wearing a Superman suit that is basically Tyler Hoechlin's Superman suit. The symbol on the cape is all wrong though, but they're basically going for the death of Superman from the comics. It's ripped right off of the comic book panel, but instead of having Doomsday do the deed, it's Lex Luthor with the Book of Destiny trying to run around the multiverse, getting rid of every single version of Superman. Because they're on Earth 75, though, that's an Easter egg for the 1975 Superman musical. It was a Broadway musical, the campiest thing that you've ever seen. If you think that there's a lot of camp during the 70s Christopher Reeve Superman movies, the Superman musical from 1975 takes that and goes way above and beyond. So that's who this version of Superman is meant to be, the Superman from that musical. But number 6, welcome back to Smallville. So obviously there's a lot to unpack here. The reason why it's Earth 167 is because that's an Easter egg for Superman Comics number 167, which is an issue of the classic series where Superman and Lex Luthor became a version of Batman and Superman, except it was Clark Kent that became Batman and Lex Luthor that became Superman. People are thinking that this is a reference to their friendship on the Smallville TV show because Lex Luthor and Clark started out as friends before they became enemies, and the idea that Tom Welling said a long time ago that he had always wanted to play Batman before he played the Superman character. So it's a really deep cut, but if you wondered why it was 167, that's why. It's a super meta Easter egg. You see all the newspaper articles that Lois Lane wrote at the Daily Planet, My Night with Superman. That's also Easter eggs for the classic Christopher Reeve movie, because they borrowed a lot from that movie during the Smallville series. They make all kinds of jokes about him being super huge and buff, because physically he is one of the largest actors to have played Superman. But when they tell him about Lex Luthor, the reason why he says the president is because, remember, the flash forward in the Smallville finale was Lex being named president, and it was in the year 2016, I believe. So technically, this is only a couple years after that, because they jumped way forward in time in the Smallville finale. So technically, Lex would be president at this time. But he does say that he gave up his powers to have a family. We don't know quite how old his daughters are, but that's why the kryptonite doesn't work on him when Lex Luthor pulls it out. They do a little bit of comedy in the tone of the classic Smallville series when he punches him out. Still got it, still stronger. And then Lois Lane, Erica Durance, walks up, calls him Smallville like she did on the Smallville TV show, and they go back into the house. So it was a bummer that they depowered that version of Superman. I'm sure a whole bunch of people will disagree with their take on that, but I'm just happy that Tom Welling and Erica Durance came back to do this, because there were a lot of actors that said no. They also tried to get Michael Rosenbaum to come back and guest star, but he declined. But number 5, we go to Kingdom Come Superman on Earth 96. The reason why it's Earth 96 is because that's an Easter egg for the Kingdom Come comics that were published in 1996. When Lois Lane walks up to meet him and he recognizes her, you look kind of familiar. They play the Lois theme song from the classic Christopher Reeve Superman movie. You have to remember that they used all the same John Williams theme songs when they did Superman Returns with Brandon Routh. Not only is he playing his version of Superman from Superman Returns because he references his son Jason from that movie. Remember, they introduced a version of Superboy, but he's also meant to be an older version of Christopher Reeve's Superman. So it's like saying that Christopher Reeve's Superman eventually became Kingdom Come Superman. The Easter egg for his origin story and the reason why he wears that black emblem is right out of the Kingdom Come comics. The Joker in those comics came and gassed the Daily Planet, killing Lois Lane and a whole bunch of other people. Number 4, though, Superman vs. Superman. Lex Luthor shows up with a Book of Destiny to force Kingdom Come Superman to fight Tyler Hoechlin's Superman. The important thing to remember about this fight is that they're doing a live-action Superman TV show with Tyler Hoechlin's Superman next year. This fight is a really good example for what his show will look like when he's flying around doing big action scenes. So think of it as sort of a teaser for the Superman TV show. When they eventually calm him down and he says, "This is actually the second time that I've gone crazy and had to fight myself," that's actually a reference to Superman 3 when he was separated into Clark Kent and Superman went super dark. If you haven't seen that movie in a while, that's from the Superman movie where that gif comes from of Superman taking the shot at the bar. But number 3, the older Kevin Conroy Batman from Batman Beyond and Kingdom Come just goes completely off the deep end. You see all the Easter eggs in his trophies. There's the Joker playing card, the snow from Mr. Freeze, and the broken glasses from his version of Superman that he killed. Who do you think put him in this exoskeleton? They reveal the kryptonite in his exoskeleton, but they eventually wind up killing him off, saying there's no hope. He welcomes the antimatter wave. There's no more hope for this Earth. Just let it all end. I feel like about halfway through his descent into madness, you could tell where they were taking this. Oh, he's not meant to be the Bat of the future that is the Paragon of Hope. They're going to make Batwoman the Paragon of Hope and the Bat of the future. It was really on the nose and super cringy. I wasn't super happy with the way they did that. I mean, come on, there's got to be at least a couple other alternate Earths with other versions of Batman that didn't completely go crazy. The big reason why we probably didn't see a bunch of other versions of Batman is because Warner Brothers probably only let them use the Batman character for this brief role here, and technically he never really put the Batman cape and cowl on. You just saw it sitting on that dummy and him walking around in the exoskeleton. It's because of the Batman movie that's coming in 2021 with Robert Pattinson and Matt Reeves. Number 2, though, they try to bring back Oliver in a Lazarus pit. They go to Earth 18, North Dakota, obviously for the Jonah Hex Easter egg. The reason why I think it's Earth 18 is just meant to represent the 1800s as in the Wild West. Their version of Jonah Hex here, though, has not become Jonah Hex because he doesn't have the scar, but Sarah gives it to him, oh, you're probably going to get this eventually anyway. They put Oliver in the pit, but because of all the antimatter, it's throwing off Constantine's magic and he can't find his soul to bring it back. So for a little while in the next episode, he's just going to be this mindless animal till they can fix it. Everyone comes back to the Wave Rider. They try to lighten the mood a little bit. You have those funny scenes with Brandon Routh playing against himself when Kingdom Come Superman meets Ray Palmer. Oh, do you also have a gluten allergy? Then number 1, meet the Anti-Monitor. They finally reveal him in a version of Star Labs, no less. It's hard to tell which version of Star Labs he's in, if it's from Earth 1 or some alternate Earth. But the whole thing with Lila in this episode, if you weren't sure why she was hearing voices and why she slowly started to go crazy, in the Crisis on Infinite Earths comics, the Anti-Monitor winds up mind-controlling her and she winds up killing the Monitor. I don't know if they're going to wind up doing that on the TV show, but for a little while in the comics, he did control her. That's why the Anti-Monitor says, "Come, Harbinger, there's work to be done." So he's going to be twisting her to his purpose. But episode 3 is going to be tomorrow night. Of course, I'll do a video for that. Let me know if there's any Easter eggs in the episode that you spotted that I didn't include in the video. While you wait for everything, click here for my Crisis on Infinite Earths episode 1 video, and click here to rewatch that Wonder Woman 1984 trailer a billion more times. Thank you so much for watching. Everybody stay awesome. I'll see you guys tonight.